Hey guys, it's Joel here, aka One Flying Solo, and today I wanted to share with you, document my experience running my first marathon. Well, it's still fresh in my head, so I just came back home, ran 26.2 miles in a local state park. So here's my take on it. Like I said, I've never run a full marathon before. I did follow a training program. It was 4 months long, roughly 16 weeks. Most of the training plans you see want you to max out at somewhere between 18 and 20 miles when you run, due to time constraints and just life getting in the way. The most I ran was 16 in preparation. So there's that. So there's maybe there was lack of training on my part. Number one. My background is I've mostly done 5Ks and half marathons. So I think one lesson I've learned from it is you really need to figure out your pacing. See, I was used to a half marathon pacing, which is much faster. Typically, it's much faster than a marathon. So I made the mistake that a lot of beginning runners do, is that I went out too fast. So that was one thing I can improve on for next time. So get your pace together, go an even pace the whole time, and don't go out too fast. You're very tempted. It seems like most races I've been in, a lot of people seem to go out very quickly, and then you kind of end up paying for it later on. So that's that. And then another thing, big concern for me, which I should have known better, was my shoes. You definitely don't want to have brand new shoes. That's a no-no. You always break in your shoes. But my problem was my shoes were too well worn. So I had grabbed an old pair of running shoes when I should have grabbed the newer pair. And the problem with the way I run is my foot strikes the outer part of the top of the shoe. So like the top right of the right shoe, that's where I strike. So like a third of the rubber under the shoe had been rubbed away. So I'm running essentially on like 2/3 of a rubber sole on the shoe. So what happened, long story short, what happened was I ended up getting a lot of foot pain, and I think it was directly the result of that sole being worn down. So take it from my experience. Get yourself a good pair of running shoes, but don't, like those probably need to be retired. So get yourself a good pair of running shoes, break them in, and then use those. Don't use old half worn down shoes like I did, because you'll suffer. So the race itself, like I said, I've run several half marathons. So really for me, so the first 13 miles were not an issue, no problem at all. Other than that, I ran the pace too fast, but like that was normal, par for the course, no problem there for me. The next 3 miles, so 14, 15, and 16, those weren't too bad. The pain was, the discomfort was starting to set in, but really for me, if I could pinpoint where it really broke down for me, was somewhere between, I want to say, mile 18 and mile 22. And that's usually that wall, they call it the wall, where your glycogen stores. That's for the average person, that's about how long you can run or exercise before you burn through your glycogen stores. So I had been eating all along and stuff, so it wasn't so much an issue of the fatigue, although there was fatigue. But for me, it was the mind playing tricks on me part. So you know, from 18 to 22, my brain started pretty much, or my feet started telling my brain, you need to stop right now. My feet, you know, your feet are killing you here. You need to slow down. And then for me, if you watch my other videos, you'll know that I'm prone to anxiety. So for me, I kind of had a couple, I wouldn't necessarily call them full-blown attacks, but I definitely had a couple waves of very intense, anxious thoughts that were out of the norm for me. And, you know, the whole glycogen thing, you know, getting fatigued and your legs and feet being sore, that I expected, right? But the tricks that my mind played on me, it did these tricks to try to get me to stop and to quit. And that I wasn't prepared for, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not like I haven't heard about it, but to have experienced it, I'm like, wow, you know, when your mind runs out of glycogen, when your brain runs out of glycogen, it really plays tricks on you. Like just another thing I did, like I was trying to, it was the course I was on where it was laps. You went to a cone and then turned around and came back to the starting point. So I was trying to calculate like how many miles were in, you know, a lap, and just even trying to put the calculation in my phone, like my brain was so foggy, like I couldn't, it took me like way longer than it should have just to do a simple calculation. So be prepared, it will play tricks on you. So yeah, and then after, you know, the last 4 miles were not a big deal for me, honestly. Like I got like a second wind, honestly. Like I did have to walk, I did have to walk at the end. I'll admit that. But what happened was when I resumed running, like walking was painful with my leg, you know, with my feet. I mentioned about my shoes, but once I started running, walking, run, walk again, that pain actually kind of lessened. So there is something to be said if you are dealing with some pain you're not used to, you can run through it. At least in my case, you can run through it. So yeah, just wanted to share my experience. You know, I started out, you know, with a time in mind, but you know, as the race wore on, I said, you know what, if I could just finish this thing, I'll be happy and content for now. You know, maybe the next time I race one, if there is a next time, then I can think about, you know, a time or a pace or beating the PR, the personal record that I had set, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's what I would say. The lessons learned for me this time was, yeah, get your pacing right. Be prepared for some, you know, some nasty thoughts to start swirling in your head, because your brain really is going to yell at you to stop. And then yeah, definitely make sure that your shoes are properly fitting and everything. You know, again, I should have known better, but you know, it is what it is. It's a lesson learned. So I hope that someone found this video helpful. Like and comment. I'll see you next time.